Hello, I'm Shield100 and welcome back to another fairly special game of the Batman Miniatures game. Today, finally getting to try out the Riddler because my good friend Kevin has turned up, and it's really a crew you need. You can't really play it solo because of the nature of the way it scores. So yeah, it's going to be a good laugh. You're taking on the Batman crew led by the new 10-year anniversary Batman model, which I've been itching to try out, and just give you a quick run round of the game board for today, since it's dominated by the Star Store in the middle. So there you go. Right, let's get into it, and we'll have a look and see which models are in each crew. So here's the Riddler crew for their inaugural outing. I've gone with the cool Jim Carrey looking Intel support version because I don't want to get punched in the face by Batman and ruining all my plans, so I've gone to play it safe. Yes, the rest of the crew is just a mixture of henchmen and sidekicks, etc. from the various parts of the Riddler range. I didn't go with any generics, which I gather is quite a good idea to get some actual killing power, but I wanted to see how the crew itself plays with its deck, you know, get a good true Riddler experience. So yeah, mixture of bits and pieces of equipment here and there amongst them, and yeah, just really looking forward to seeing how their deck works. It's going to be a learning experience, and possibly going to do really badly, but who cares, right? We want to see how the deck works.
Hi all, okay, well this is the Batman crew we're going to be taking. Going with the 10-year classic editions of Batman and Robin. In my own personal opinion, I think they're probably the better of the Batman and Robins that have been released so far, being the most versatile. Taking Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, Year 1, and then a selection of 3 police officers. This could actually end up being a very interesting game. Quite a few members of my crew have got detective. There's a lot of scheme manipulation going to happen. There's not a lot of punching on the Riddler's side, and I think Batman might actually be the board presence that he normally is. So I'm hoping it's going to be a lot of skill, a lot of tactics, a lot of manipulation, and the punching only really coming from my side.
Yay! And all the pre-game setup is now complete. I'll just show you the dispositions of the Riddler crew. Playing a little bit blind myself, but just trying for a nice general sort of deployment where Riddler's in the middle to give inspiration to as many of his crew as possible. Kel over here has the lieutenant role, so she also has like a mini inspire, which will come. So all my crew is basically covered. I get to put out a couple of suspect markers before the game begins, and I'm putting out a numerical 3 here and a numerical 1 over here. Mind games, maybe those numbers mean something, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And I'll just show you where Kev's popped his guys quickly. So we've got Batman and Robin on the on Kevin's left flank here, but they've got enough movement to go basically wherever they want. And yes, a smattering of police officers, and Gordon and Alfred, and finally sneakily Larida up here. Okay, and yes, the police have a whole bunch of radios and whatnot distributed around, so we'll see how that works out for everyone. Right, we're ready to get in to start this game. Let's get on with round 1. The take the lead and raise the plan phases 1 and 2 respectively for round number 1 are now complete. No cards played by either crew in either phase, so just down to who's got audacity and initiative. I got the initiative as the Riddler with a nice with my mastermind +1 really helping. Right, so who's got the initiative, who's got audacity? It's these lovely question marks for me. So going with Kel, Big Irish on the scooter, Echo, because she has a grapple gun, and the Riddler himself, of course, because he is my crew leader and gets to do stuff with it. So let's have a look, see where Kevin's put his. Unsurprisingly, Larida has one over there. I highly expect... Oh, Officer Jim Gordon there, and I think Martinez. Where's your third one, Kev? Ah, it's on Batman. It's probably hiding behind his cape from my perspective. So there you go. Cool. Awesome. Right, we're going to get on now and see what we can get up to. And And so for the first activation with a Riddler model in my channel, we've gone with Riddleman, who was just down here by the sewer marker. He is pseudo-inspired by the presence of Kel, so he had two actions he can do. The first one is his freebie Manipulate to get through to the top here, and then he used his actual Manipulate action to pop down another suspect marker. Lovely. And he's put it down as a number 2. Okay. The next thing that happened in my activation was I played a card face down from my hand. That means it has the question mark symbol on it. Kev does not know what the scoring conditions are for that, but we'll find out when one of my suspect markers gets revealed for some reason. And that is my activation done.
Okay, so next we went with Lieutenant Gordon. Nice easy activation, to be perfectly honest. That's his Audacity counter where he started. Took a stroll over to this side of the road and played the old wait for backup card. Came up as a 4. And then as a second action, using Detective, he's placed a suspect marker down on my table edge. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Back to Riddler, and we went with Charlie C, the henchman. Wonder what that stands for. He did not have Audacity. Just pan out so he can tell roughly which part of the board he's in. He moved up and used his inspiration-based Manipulate action to pop down a suspect marker, and that is a 5, little Roman numeral there. And that is him done. I did not get to play any cards. Boo.
Okay, so my activation went with Martinez. I've already removed the Audacity counter, but he was standing next to Merkel. He's walked over. He's played himself a snitch because, to be honest, it was the smartest thing to do.
It's always a smart thing to do.
It's pretty much out of line of sight of everything in Lee's crew. And it also puts him within line of sight of Lieutenant Gordon, which means I can start kicking out some orders later on. As a consequence of that, obviously this marker now that Gordon wants to score has gone down by 2 because 2 subsequent activations have gone 3.
A snitch, huh? Well, thankfully I've got a grapple gun on Echo, and she's used that to jet across the board. Just zoom out a little bit, so I'm on Kevin's side of the board now. So yes, she's over here now, and she used her Manipulate action to pop down a number 4 suspect marker. So which don't forget, she's got the It's Mine trait, which means Kevin cannot pick that suspect marker up whilst it's within 2 inches of her, so haha. But more importantly, she's currently locking down a snitch, assuming she's still there at the end of the turn. Right, that's my activation done.
Okay, so chose to go with the Cape Crusader. There were a couple of things that I thought I was going to achieve, and then actually ended up he can do a lot more than I thought he could do because I have no experience with this particular Batman. So we started off over next to the Boy Wonder, where you can see his Audacity marker. He's got that brilliant move of 12 plus the 1 for his armour, which brought him over to here. And then we started using Detective and his special power, which is
Vigilante's Work.
That's the one, which I'm starting to love. So first thing we did was use the Manipulate with the effort to drop a suspect marker behind me. We then threw Batarangs down at Charlie C, which knocked him out, which was brilliant, which is exactly what I wanted. And then we efforted again so that we could reveal the marker, which suspect marker, which Lee had placed, which was on 5.
I'll take over for a little bit. That revealed the card which I put face down, which was turned out to be Riddle Me That. I don't know if that's being focused in on alright, but yeah, sadly it's not a numeric counter of 1, 2 or 3, so I don't score it because I'm an idiot and put the wrong card out, and that is gone, so discarded instead of scoring. What a fool I am.
So yes, that worked out really nicely. Really starting to like this particular Batman. Brought in a couple of extra bits for me, so obviously that's another activation that's passed, so that's wait for backup has been scored, no problem at all there. And I was also holding comb through everything, so revealed one of Lee's suspects, get to score some points, so that's a Brucey bonus.
Pretty good activation, Batman living up to his points cost.
So yeah, taking control of this side of the board, going to play the game, try to be a little bit, not much confrontation to go on.
I'm starting to lose the scoring war as well as the casualty war, so desperate times, but we'll get there. We are crafty if nothing else. Right, went with this Riddler goon with the 2 submachine guns. Simply didn't have audacity, I simply moved him up and I've popped his suspect marker down. It's going to be a 4 because earlier I actually moved this one up here to a 5 for those who are really avidly paying attention, but I'm going to bank on no one doing that much. But yes, I've got all suspect marker numbers covered now apart from 6. We'll see if that's going to tie into any sneaky plans of mine. Right, so that's me done.
Okay, so my next activation was with Officer Merkel. To be perfectly honest, we just took a shot with this shotgun. It was a bit of a waste. Obviously he was firing through cover, but then again he didn't have audacity. Lee decided to start dodging my shots, so I basically got reduced to nothing, adding 2 effort on. But the reason for activating was just so that the Boy Wonder could use his special ability, because he's fast, and he's fast 3. So it meant that although I was in the top end of my deployment zone, I could slide 3 inches backwards. He doesn't have audacity, so it means he's going to be able to get straight through that sewer. And, well, we won't go into the rest of the plan just yet.
Well, got bored, activated the Riddler, feeling cute. Right, he had a lot to do, just like Batman, but in totally different ways. First of all, he moved up here. That was a nice, easy one. Then he used hacking, his special ability, to move the lamppost away from his squishy henchman. So that's good. He also then hacked a suspect marker somewhere. I can't remember. he moved one from here down to here. Okay. He then manipulated to put down a couple more suspect markers here and here respectively. It was a bit of a squeeze to fit them all 4 inches away from each other, trust me. He played as a resource riddles everywhere because I really want to make use of my my riddle markers, and so here they are. These are the big boxy tokens. There's one up top here, there's one here, and I managed to sneak one around here within easy hacking distance. And so yeah, so that's the riddle markers. They have funky ability. They do funky things to help me score basically. If of course, as with all my games, all the cards are available for free to look up online. So, and if I start explaining these things to you now, the video will be half an hour longer than it really needs to be. And a lot of people know how to play already, so I don't see the point in wasting people's time, basically. Anyway, so that's him done, and then what else happened? Oh yes, finally, the last thing to take care of today is play the objective card from my hand. Riddle of Nowhere, which we haven't seen before, so I will go into it. Can only be played during the friendly models activation. Basically, Kevin has to stop me having one of every number by the end of his next model's activation in order to stop me scoring these 2 pitiful points. I mean, it's only 2 points. Why would he bother stopping me? Surely he's got better things to do. I guess we'll see.
Okay. Well, based on Lee's last comments, it turns out that I didn't have a lot more to do. So Lee had his junior book of trigonometry out and a tape measure and was trying to triangulate all of his schemes. Well, I realised that actually, although he filled up most of the areas I can't get to, there's only one number 2 so far on the table. So we went with Robin. Obviously, you can get inspired because he's one of the boys, which is the special rule that he gets to be inspired by Batman. So he uses free manipulate to go through this sewer to come up to the top here, and then he's got radio, etc. So you manipulate again to remove the number 2 marker,
and there it goes.
That allowed me to comb through everything into the mix, which is another cheeky 2 points for myself. And then that was pretty much the end of the Boy Wonders phase, to be honest.
I don't seem to be getting anywhere by playing suspects, so we went with Kel from back here, and she opened fire with her precision gun on Batman, and because it's accurate and he's only got Bat Armor Mark II, she actually got 2 hits through on him, which is pretty good. So 4 points of damage on the Crate Crusader. Sadly, her bipolar trait caused her to take 1 point of it's innovating, not 1 effort. Sorry, yes. So she's actually, that'll be exchanged for an innovating token in a bit. Okay. She has an ability where she gets to pick pick up a riddle marker at the beginning of her activation, and so she did. There was one here, it's gone now to be replaced later on, and yeah, that's basically her turn. She moved around here, and that is that.
Right, next up was good old Alfred. He's made the cups of tea, handed it all around. The police are really happy. All he's really done is taken a walk action. Didn't have audacity, but he can be inspired, and he's got a radio. And I played the snitch card from my hand. The reason I've done that is because I can put 2 down, but that one, that's such a pain in the ass that I can't reveal it if it's within 4, and therefore if I can't reveal it, I cannot score it. So I want to make sure I can score at least 1, and then if I do manage to remove her next phase or next turn, then that's a Brucey bonus.
Irish activated for Riddler, and he was back here with audacity. He jetted up the board trying to get within 4 inches of that snitch marker, but was not able to do so because I'm bad at gauging distances. He did, however, with his initiative, he was also inspired. He popped down a suspect marker 2 inches away, nice, and used his special activation to drop a riddle, because I have been playing resources, and so this last riddle marker has been popped here in a nice area around a lot of models. Hopefully that will do something for me. Next turn, where I have much higher hopes than to have things than this turn, which has been a bit of a disappointment, let's be honest. Right, him done.
Hello. Okay, well I chose to go with Larida. We had audacity. Unfortunately, from where I was standing on the scaffold, I couldn't see the model that I wanted to shoot at that Lee had. It's the guy with the twin Uzis, and I can't remember his name from the top of my head. So we took a bit of a walk, and that brought us down to line of sight. We took some shots. We've got marksman, we've got a red dot sight, we've got the works basically. I wasn't aiming on killing this guy standing down here because I know what I had in my hand, and we caused some damage. Which, bizarrely, because I couldn't see him at the start of the turn, meant they didn't see me coming. It's only 1 point. A lot of people are saying that the resource on this is really important, but to be honest, with this Batman, this Robin, and a crew with radios, not sure the resource is going to matter so much this game. But yeah, that's Laredo activated. That's the end of my go.
And to finish off the round, Riddler activated Query. She didn't have audacity, and there really wasn't anywhere she could go to put down this last suspect marker of mine, so she contented herself just to move up here, so she's in easy inspiration range and annoying range next turn. Okay, and that concludes the round's activations. It's been a bit of a difficult one for Riddler. My card draws have been abominable, and I've played them badly too. So, but I have high hopes for having 7 of my 8 suspect markers out next turn that I'll be able to score. But we're just about to go to the recount phase now, tidy things up, and report back in just a second. Recount phase complete. A little bit to talk about. Firstly, to my joy, Charlie has actually passed his endurance test to come around from being unconscious on a 3 on 2 dice. So yes, he's just knocked down now, and yes, good for me. Right, so cards to score. Well, we'll start with the Batman crew. Kevin's snitches, one of the Alfred one here did transpire, the other one being blocked by Echo from early on in the turn, so 3 lovely points for the Batman crew. And predictably, from the way it's playing, Secure the Perimeter was played, and the 2 suspect markers he'll be removing are these 2 here, which he can get rid of now if he wants to. For my part, I was sitting on a whole bag of nails in my hand for scores, but finally I managed to score some and actually get them out. Honestly, yeah, sometimes this game you just don't get the cards. But Riddle of the Night came out for 2 points, at least 3 friendly suspects with a numerical counter with an even value, which I do, a 2, 4 and a 6 out there. And Riddle Me Softly, same thing but for odd numbers, and I've got lots and lots of odd numbers out there. So 4 points for me. I'm finally on the scoreboard and managed to cycle my hand some, and that's cheered me up a little bit. So we're going into turn 2 now. I am flagging behind on points, but I have an engine built up on the board in suspect markers and riddle markers, and yes, I've got some hopes to actually be able to score a couple of points in the coming round. But of course, never write off the Batman crew, because their cards score and flow just like water.
Okay, so turn 2, raising the plan. Lee has gone with putting Audacity on Irish, Echo, the guy with submachine guns, and the Riddler. I myself went for Batman, Robin, Hernandez, or Martinez even, and Commissioner Gordon. Well, it's Lieutenant Gordon at the moment. Everyone's very close together. I think Lee has now got all of his suspect markers out that he can have, the limit of 8. Bar one. So Lee's got one left, so in a roundabout kind of way, all the cards are open and on the table because I can see which numbers are what.
I also have initiative for this turn.
And yes, and Lee also has initiative, so this is the one where I think that although I've got quite a lead as far as scoring goes, Lee's going to catch up fast.
Well, with the initiative, I started with Irish, and here he is. He scooted into base contact with Lieutenant Gordon, hoping to sack him out of the game. Activated Electric Storm, don't forget I had Audacity, and failed, which was great. So no stun damage to Gordon to freshen things up. I then attacked him, and despite Gordon didn't put any effort into defense, so I capitalised by putting 3 on myself. And still, after all that, thanks to Gordon's observation trait, only got 2 hits through. 4 points of stun is not enough to KO him, so that's quite disappointing. So, oh well. Because he was pseudo-inspired by the presence of Kel there, I put down my last suspect marker, put down a little 2 there, and yes, that's it. Apart from saying I've managed to put another card face down on my side of the board, just here, hoping that will keep Kev guessing a little bit and actually help me play the game, which is what I came for.
Okay, so without pulling any punches, and quite literally this turn, I activated Batman straight away. I went in with this card, following the clues, using the resource. The reason for that was to pull down suspect markers, one of which was up here on the roof, and the other one of which was down here on the floor. They then get pulled 2d6 inches, so it was 7 inches towards Batman, with his combination of detective skill and vigilante's work, removed both of those markers, one of which, and it was a little bit of a double-edged sword, one of which allowed me to comb through everything and gain 2 points, but at the same time
it revealed my face down card, which was this one, and he revealed a number 2 first, which means I can score this for 3 points. Lovely.
So overall it came across as a net loss at that point, but then we ran in and we decided to attack Kel, only because mostly she's got the little inspiration bubble for the guy that's just stood back up. Secondly, because she shot me last turn and it really hurt. We hit, I think, with almost every attack.
You hit with every attack, and I failed to block with every single.
Yeah. So although I'd spent 2 effort using my special ability, we've left her with more stars than a cheap backyard fire display. So yeah, that was it. Really successful turn.
Riddler is rapidly losing health due to repeated suspect reveals of his own by the Batman crew, so he's going to be off the board shortly, I feel, so unless Kev changes his strategy entirely. So I activated him. He has Audacity and I didn't want to lose that for the turn. He moved up onto here and used his hacking ability to first of all hack an enemy suspect marker into base contact with Echo there, and the suspect marker that was in front of her has just been pushed back here for funsies. And then finally he used his manipulate activation to put down 2 more suspect markers of his own, a number 2 over here and a number 3 over here. I'm now back to having all 8 of my suspect markers out, which is fun, and yes, I also managed to put down another card from my hand face down. What is it? Will Kevin find out? Join us soon.
Okay, so I went with Officer Martinez, who was already standing around this corner by the snitch that was no longer of any use, and then the suspect marker got dragged towards Echo. He came barreling around the corner. He's a cheap model, 22 rep. He's got cop and detective. and he's going to remove the marker there of Lee's, which you can see has got a 5 on it, and that will allow me to score back to Arkham. It's a 3-pointer. It's really nice.
And before you turn off the camera, Kev, doing that reveals my card here.
Oh, piss.
And because no, it's fine because it was a 1, 2, or 3 you needed to remove, and you just told me it was a 5. So
Good
this
stuff.
does not score. Great.
I live with that. And obviously that means that,
Thanks for that, Kev.
that's a load of intel that's gone. He's been KO'd or removed as a casualty, which fulfills the requirements of the scoring card. So yeah, back to Lee.
On the upside, before back to Lee, I will play Easy Riddle as a resource. When an enemy reveals a friendly suspect, immediately place a friendly suspect in contact with any enemy suspect, which is what I'll do, and I will count that when we get to my turn in a moment.
Which you can totally do, but I'm going to use a resource myself and cancel him using that objective card as a resource.
Okay, fair enough. We're playing live, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me just grab my hand of stuff.
That's alright, I believe you. You can stop recording.
No. This is how we play the game.
Because we know what we're doing, completely professional.
You can cut all this out whenever you feel like it. So there's my last 2 resource points. Yoink.
Get them off the
And
streets.
get them off the streets.
Yeah, great.
Thank you very much. Thank you for bearing with us.
Right, okay, gone with this guy with the submachine guns. He's activated. He has opened fire on Martinez in revenge for picking up my suspect markers and done 3 hits, which was a bit disappointing. He had audacity. He was able to activate rapid fire, still wasn't enough. But yeah, that's that. He then moved over here and I played a card from my hand to be face down just over here, okay? And that's my activation done with him.
For myself, it was a very quick activation. I've just gone with Larida, and all he's really done is drop down a suspect marker within 2 inches of the end of the table.
What could it be? Activated Echo next, trying to get all the models that are in danger out of the way first. So she was over here. She gets once per turn to pick up an enemy suspect marker for free, so she revealed this one. And because it was in 2 inches of one of my suspect markers, I was able to play Query and Echo from my hand for 3 points because I revealed a friendly, an enemy suspect within 2 inches of a friendly one. So there you go, 3 points. Nice, we are scoring. We then moved her into base contact with Merkel, again trying to cut down Kevin's number of actions he's got and activations because it's too dangerous to leave the Batman crew with too many. But after all was said and done, despite 2 efforts apiece, she only got 1 hit through, frustratingly, which left him with 4 points of stun altogether for the turn. So there you go. He's not KO'd either. I just can't seem to get that last hit through. It's not a particularly hitty crew, the Riddler.
Okay, so I went with Commissioner Gordon, Lieutenant Gordon, Year 1 Gordon, stuff. So, obviously the last time we saw him, he was caught here and engaged in some combat. He's used his detective skill to drop a suspect marker up on that table edge. Reasons. And then he took a stroll. He's gone up there just really so he can be inspired by Batman at the start of the next turn. But because he did his action there was a
riddle marker just here which triggered, and that meant Kev had to pick one of my suspect markers on the board.
And it was a bit of a random one because I don't know what Leah's got, so I removed the one that was dropped at the end of the last turn. I think pretty much the end of the last turn, which was a 6.
And I revealed the card I had face down, which unfortunately again scores on a 1, 2, or 3. So that's cards discarded rather than scored. So no points for me from that.
So I'm hoping that's going to create another sort of 2-point swing in the long run, and on to Lee's activation.
Yeah, I've burnt through all my models with Audacity this turn, and with no models left conscious that can provide me with inspiration, I'm kind of limited on what I can do. So I activated Riddleman, who just consoled himself by putting down a suspect marker in base contact with himself, within 6, with a number 6 on it, actually, sorry. And that is me, done for now. Oh, I also did play another card, face down, so keep Kevin guessing.
my activation was nice and simple. So I took Alfred. He's taken a bit of a stroll from over here by that suspect marker, and he's come over to remove Lee's suspect marker number 2. The reason I've done that is because on quick inspection, Lee's got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for suspect markers on the table, and he's got 2 number 5s or 2 number 2s. So I want to remove one of those number 2s. And that's the end of Alfred's go.
Yep, continuing on with the fairly pointless activations, Charlie stood up from being knocked down and just moved over here. He had no cards really to play at this point. Just going to run it down a little bit and see what happens.
So again, another really quick activation. Officer Merkel, he's got, bless him, he's got his riot gun, which is basically firing beanbags, and the stock's still made of wood, so we tried to take a swing at Echo. Unfortunately, she's a bit nifty. Dodged out the way of everything. I was kind of hoping to knock her down and arrest her, but that is unfortunately the way the cookie crumbles. And going from here, I think we're going into the recount phase, so let's see what happens.
Quite, we got one left each. You still got Robin, and I've still got Query.
Oh, Jesus Christ, how did I forget I've still got Robin? Oh. Wicked. Cut!
It's alright. Finally, Query for me, I think. She just popped down a suspect marker at number 5, and I was able to play Riddler of Nowhere again from my hand for potential 2 victory points if I have one of every number out on my suspects at the end of Kevin's next activation, which will be Robin.
Okay, so my last activation and the last one of this round, to be fair, I went with Robin. It was a fairly simple activation. Jumped over the top, removed Lee's marker. It was the only one with a 6 on it, to be fair, so I thought that was really going to nail him on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to score, but
Played this as an objective, as a resource card. I don't know if you can get that focused at all. It basically enabled me to move one of my spare 5s up to a 6 to compensate, which allows me now to still score the Riddle of Nowhere, which is the duplicate of this one actually, and at the end of this activation, so I will get those 2 points.
So yeah, that was 2 points I gave to Lee. I probably
didn't know you were giving them to me then.
Yeah, it's the way the deck works, and actually it's really clever because it's intuitive, but it's also, as a player against it, it's almost counterintuitive to start removing your opponent's markers. But if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So then I threw some batarangs into that little
Riddle man.
That's it, little Riddle man, who's in big trouble.
He's KO'd.
He's knocked out. He's willpower 4. He's probably not going to get back up. He's out of the game, to be fair. But we've still got a few turns to go. So let's see where we end up. Okay, so quick scan of the table.
Cal got back up.
Oh, yeah. How the... Yeah. Well, she got back up in front of Batman. So, you know, we're kind of alright with that. Little quiz guy. He's obviously staying down. Everyone else is actually not in bad shape. This is one of those really bizarre scenarios where you end up with 2 crews that want to rely on putting down suspect markers to score. So on Lee's side of the table, Riddle of the Night and Riddle Me Softly. So as we already assessed, he's already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And one of these scores for odds and one of them scores for evens. Shame on me.
Got my engine out, it's starting to score me points.
This is it. I think once you've got that groundwork in place, it's difficult to stop that train running unless you can remove everything that you have on the table.
Still going,
yeah, obviously I've got secure the perimeter, thanks to Lieutenant Gordon and me not shooting anyone with an assault rifle. So that's a clear 2 points for me, and that will be the end of this round.
Into round 3, the take the lead and raise the plan phases are just completed. No cards played by either side in this particular round for the first 2 phases, but I can reveal that the initiative has gone to the Batman crew for the first time, I think, this game. I might be mistaken. Anyway, right, so who's got Audacity? On the Batman crew side, it's Robin and Batman, of course. have it. We've got one for the Rider up here, and over there, Merkel too. Right, for me, the Riddler player, I had to reduce my Audacity by 1 to bring the Riddler back onto the board, just over here, him having been tased out of existence last turn due to revealing his suspect markers. I've given him a point of Audacity as well because he can still use it, so that's half my Audacity soaked up in one model. Otherwise, I've gone for 2 models over here. The 2 ladies, we got Query and Echo next to Merkel. They both have Audacity, so hopefully getting the most out of them. Right, it's time now to start activating models in round 3. Plenty still to do, both crews very much intermingled with each other.
Okay, so Batman's crew had the first activation, having 1 initiative. I went straight away with little Martinez, who's down under here. He didn't have Audacity, so his one and only action was to take a shot. Seems very mundane, but we managed to put through point of blood, point of stun with just the 1 hit, unfortunately, even though it's only hitting like 4s. Got 3s, yeah, gets turned into 2 points of stun. Purely for the reason of non-lethal ammo, which is going to score me a nice 2. It's going to go on my score pile. Rather annoyingly, means that Lee now gets to score this one. So you can remove 2 friendly suspect markers within 6 of an enemy model, only after I complete an action. So of course Martinez has completed an action. So that suspect
And this one.
and that suspect are now going to disappear.
Activated Echo for the first activation of round number 3 for the Riddler, and she had quite a disappointing turn. I put down a objective card face down over there on my sideboard to be revealed later and hopefully score me some points. Alas, she had Audacity. She was over here. She attacked Merkel, but both sides put a point of effort in and absolutely bag of nails on the dice roll for me. Didn't succeed to KO him on his last point of willpower. So yes, quite disappointing. Was really hoping, but I guess you don't play Riddler to be a force to be reckoned with physically. Trying to salvage anything from this turn, she has moved over here and popped down a suspect marker because I'm a little bit light on them at the moment, and I really want to actually get some more out on the table, and that concludes my first activation of round 3.
Okay, well my next activation was with the Boy Wonder. Obviously we started up here with Audacity, move 12, acrobatic and all the rest of the goodness. We jumped down to the bottom of the building and decided to throw my last batarangs at Quiz 1 with the twin Uzis, who was yet to activate. Again, just trying to get some activation control. Came up with a full house of hits, putting enough stun damage on him to knock him out completely. And that was the end of the Boy Wonders round.
The Batman crew at this point has way too many models compared to what I'm used to, so I'm desperately trying to reduce the number of activations they get. So I activated Charlie Chaplin, the what's his name? Quiz number 6. Yes, he activated. He didn't have Audacity, but he is inspired by Riddler's newly arrived presence. So used my 1 normal action to be a special action and did Electric Storm, which thankfully did come up trumps for me and KO Commissioner Gordon off take off his last 2 points of willpower. Even destroyed the lamppost into the bargain for fun. And then I used my inspiration based or manipulate action to pop down a number 3 based Audacity suspect marker, and finally to round things off I played Riddle of Nowhere again as an objective card, so I need to have 1 of every number out by the end of Kevin's activation. I only have 6 suspects, so he has to pick up 1 of them, but it forces him to act, might force him out of position, and it might score me 1 of my face down card. We'll see.
Okay, so next activation for the Batman crew. I went with Merkel, who started off over here. And obviously we just got to a point where Mr. Uzi guy has been knocked down. Was carrying Get Them Off the Streets, so he's run in and used his special because he had Audacity to arrest him, which also isn't a manipulate action, so it doesn't matter that there's the quiz block up there waiting for me. Good old Merkel. Every game that I've used him in so far, he's done some stuff and had an impact, and that's the end of my round.
query up next for Riddler, and yeah, not an awful lot to do. Unfortunately, she did have Audacity, feels a bit of a waste. She did actually, though, open fire with her light machine gun, which Robin easily dodged, but unfortunately for Martinez, he took his last 2 points of blood damage and died. I managed to spill the templates over onto Merkel, but rolled a 1 to damage him, so it's just Martinez, but he is dead, which is useful. Less activations for Batman, hopefully will translate into less points overall. And that's me done with her. She just moved over into the proper cover there, so it'll be very difficult for Lorida to draw a bead. And that's me done.
Okay, so this was quite an eventful activation. I started to go with Batman. It was over here next to the Audacity marker, came sprinting around the corner, and I kind of wanted to punch Echo to the floor, mostly because there's a couple of markers there, and I can't interact to remove markers or manipulate to remove markers if she's within 2. So Batman be a Batman, punched her into the oblivion until she was a small black speck on the floor, and then started to reveal markers that were nearby. So the first one I revealed was this one, which had a 5 on it. Reason for me doing that was obviously because I've got following the clues, which scores me a nifty 2 points. And then at that point we realised that I don't know the Joker deck very well, Riddler deck very well, and the turned over card that was hidden from me that Lee had was that enemy model reveals a friendly suspect with a numerical value of 4, 5 or 6 was scored, which is going to give Lee 3 points. Brilliant, so that's -1 for me that turn. Instantly followed by this one, which you can also score because one of them's face down, means he can score 2 in one phase. Enemy model reveals one of your suspect markers that's within 2 of an enemy suspect.
It's almost like I put it there on purpose and everything and hung it out to dry.
And then Lee further went on to play Easy Riddle.
As a resource.
As a resource, play when I reveal a friendly suspect. Place a friendly suspect marker in contact with the enemy suspect.
Oh look, there it is.
So,
it's almost like nothing happened.
So the state of the game didn't really change, other than I scored 2 and I gave Lee 6. Fantastic.
Returning to much briefer activations, Kel got up, dusted herself off of her recent KOing. She was inspired, didn't have Audacity, she just moved herself up a little bit with her remaining movement and popped down a number 5 suspect marker. I did play another objective card face down on my sideboard, and as we keep forgetting to mention, earlier in the turn I have scored Riddler Nowhere quite easily because Kevin didn't pick up one of my suspect markers when he really needed to, so that would be another 2 points for me from earlier in the turn. We just forgot to mention it. And that's me done for now.
Okay, so my activation was nice and easy. We went with Lorida, who's been standing up there as a sniper for the entire game and really cheesed me points by dropping down suspect markers just outside of my deployment zone. He's got Audacity, jumps down sort of 6.5 inches of building with apparently no damage, and runs across the floor so he can be in base contact with the sewer marker for a bit of shifty finagling in the next round, and that's the end of his.
Put down a snitch.
Oh yeah, and I put down a snitch.
Yeah, just a little 3 points. Pretty much guaranteed.
Things to remember. Yeah, obviously we all know what the snitch is by now. It's in exactly the same place as where I've scored previous schemes, and that's him fully done. Promise.
Gone with Irish, leaving only Riddler for the remainder of my activations this turn. First things first, I played Riddle Me This as a resource, just to move over the Batman suspect marker just a little bit over here. The main reason for this was so I actually had played 2 resources this turn, which allowed, when I activated Irish, to use his special action to drop a riddle within 4 inches, which puts a riddle marker down, which I really wanted to get out, and that's basically that. Hopefully it will help me score in the future. Irish is actually inspired, so I was able to use his freebie manipulator to pop down a number 6, so suspect marker just here, and that concludes his activation now. Back to Kevin for his final activation of round 3.
Okay, so my final activation was Alfred. This here was my original scheme marker, suspect marker. Remove a friendly suspect marker within 8 inches in line of sight so I can get a free manipulate. To be honest, that was only really played so I can cycle through the scoring deck for Batman. Alfred's then walked away to go and stand in the corner, maybe to set up for something else. So this suspect marker that Lee had already moved is gone, and because he'd moved it between number 5 and a number 6, kind of wonder if he's got something that could have scored him some points. So that's the only reason really for making that move, and that concludes his activation.
Right, Riddler went himself. He didn't move this activation, but he did use his conundrum abilities to give Enervating 2 to the Cape Crusader. So that'll be 2 off his effort limit in the future to my desire. Having played an action, I was able to play the objective You Activate the Riddle again for 2 points. Remove 2 friendly suspects within 6 inches of enemy model. So, yeah, I went with the 2 next near Gordon. There's one there, and there was one there, and yeah, they've gone, and that scored me 2 lovely points. And finally, with Riddler's Manipulate action, I put down 2 more suspect markers to replace the ones I just lost, so I'm back on 8 on the board. I've got a number 5 here, and a number 3 up here. Just replacing the numbers I lost, that's all. And that's all the activations for round 3 done, to my knowledge, so we're going to go to the recount phase now. Round 3 complete, recount finished, no cards played by either crew in the end of the the end of the phase, round, whatever you want to say. Kevin did score his snitch up there for 3 more points, as we know. So there it is, that'll be going on his score pile in just a moment. In terms of who came round from being unconscious, thankfully for me, Lieutenant Gordon is still out for the count. Unfortunately for me, Riddlebro is not going to be joining us for the remainder of the game, but Echo did come round and she's now just merely knocked down as opposed to knocked out. So still plenty to play for, both sides scoring cards like anyone's business. Just got to hope that the last turn goes well for me. Right, into turn 4 now, let's see what this goes.
Okay, so start phase for the final round of the game. Audacity going out as follows. So obviously Irish, the Riddler, Echo, and Query hiding over the back there. As you can see next to Query, I've got the Boy Wonder, Lorida, good old Merkel, can't go wrong with Merkel really, and Batman himself. Cards that were played in the first sort of phase of the game. Lee has played Riddles on the Storm. Enemy models reveal fewer suspect markers than friendly models this round. Well, he can reveal his own, and at the moment I have no markers on the table other than the one that turned into the snitch. From the snitch, should I say. I think Lee has all of his suspect markers out on the table. So, someone's getting punched, someone's going to score some points, some markers might get revealed. Let's find out. Okay, so without beating around the bush too much, my first activation was Officer Merkel, who in every game that I've used him in seems to be an absolute legend, whether it's through luck and design. Started off here with that Audacity marker is just behind Batman. Ran across to this sewer grate next to Lorida, manipulated to go through it. This obviously kicks off the puzzle that Lee had set up because it's within 8 inches.
So that goes.
So that got to disappear quite nicely.
That forced you to pick one of my suspect markers.
Oh, yes.
And you chose.
So I chose this one. It's got a number 1 on it. The reason I chose it is because I've got no idea out of the scoring in Lee's deck how many of the 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5, 6 markers that you score, because they're face down and I can't see and I didn't do the math.
So you picked this one up, so it's gone, and then I had to reveal my face down card, which turned out to be Riddle Me This, which sadly for me does not score because it needed to pick up a 4, 5 or 6, but it was worth a try. So that's gone in my discard pile. But when Kevin did pick up that suspect marker, I played this again as a resource just to replace it, because I like to have one of every number out, and I had to put it next to one of his existing suspects, and it's going up here, where I doubt he'll be able to reach it very easily. So there we go. That's that. If you want to carry on.
Yeah, and then so obviously we had Audacity, and I've got a radio on Merkel as we said at the start of the game. So he's jumped through the sewer. came up to little quiz boy here who's been laying there just sprawled on the floor, knocked out. And like all good police officers that obviously Merkel is, his pension is not going to pay enough, I swear to God. Is playing get them off the streets to arrest him and remove him from the game. Also means that Merkel's pretty much untouchable now, which makes me happy. He does a lot of work, that boy. And that's the end of my phase.
Yeah, just trying some big brain moves here. Echo activated first to stand up and move into base contact with Batman. She attempted to attack him with her reinforced gloves and her general abilities, and she failed, obviously, because he is Batman and he is good. At the beginning of the turn activation, I'd moved this suspect marker with a resource on Riddle Me That, one of the cards from my deck, just to mean that I'd use some resources up to help me cycle my deck and help maybe drop a Riddle marker later on. And that is that. I played one card face down from my hand. What'll it be? Maybe we'll find out. And that's that, really. Batman is indomitable as ever. Back to Kevin.
Okay, so my activation was Lorida. Obviously, it's his last activation of the game. Still got ammo in his assault rifle for this and another turn. He's got Audacity. Decided to shoot through the Cape Crusader back into Echo. Causing more than enough blood damage to kill her outright. However, we replaced bullets with beanbags so we could use non-lethal ammo. Score myself a trusty 2 points. Didn't want to manipulate or anything just in case, because, you know, Lee can remove my markers as well as his own. So we buggered off and hid behind this crate for a quick cigarette, and a job well done.
Continuing my Riddle activations with Irish. He was over here. He used his big old, little old scooter to move over here. He had Audacity, so full suite of moves. Because I used multiple objective cards as resources this turn, I popped a Riddle out over here just to get my full complement of 3 out again. And then I used my tactical action to punch Batman in the back of the head. Unfortunately, didn't actually result in anything, despite me putting lots of effort in and using Batman's innovating to reduce his effort limit to 1, but nonetheless it was fun, and that is his turn pretty much done, apart from me playing Riddle of Nowhere. The problem, this is the one where Kevin has to take off a suspect marker and stop me from having one of every number if he can, if he doesn't want me to score 2 points, that is. Okay, and that concludes my activation for Irish.
Okay, well, in typical style, Alfred's not got Audacity, so he's just placed down a suspect marker towards the table edge. Wink, wink, nod, nod. I then had to... trigger... See, this is one of the things in the game that I don't always think of straight away, and actually it's a really massive mechanic that helps the Riddler deck to score. So, Lee had...
Picks this up.
Yep, that disappears. Riddle of Nowhere.
That mean that? So when Kevin chose a suspect marker, he picked this number 2 over here,
Zoop.
Which is down there, which I have to pick up, which will deny Riddle of Nowhere because I won't have one of each number by the end of Kevin's activation. However, as he's picked up one of my suspects, it reveals my face down card, which was Riddles Everywhere, Riddler's own card, which scores if when he picks up one of my suspect markers like he just has, I have 2 Riddle markers on the board, which I do.
Yep.
Both are on the board, so I score 2 points even though Kevin denied me 2 points.
So yeah, the more I play against the Riddler, the more I kind of enjoy the fact that you have to be very aware of everything, and even if you are, that doesn't mean you're winning.
I've gone with Query. She had a fairly weird turn, which will make sense hopefully later, maybe. I played a card from my hand face down. I moved her around and I opened fire with a light machine gun into this little huddle of people over here, which is a bit bad. I targeted Batman, of course, and actually hit him, even though it was on 5s and 6s. But so that was fun. He's taken 2 blood damage. I also hit Irish, but I missed Echo, so that's good. So there you go. That is that activation all done. And yes, I've got a card brewing I hope to score later. Anyway, that's that. Over to Kevin now for more Batmaning.
So, as you can see from the Audacity marker, my next activation was the Boy Wonder. So Robin scaled the side of the building, God bless Acrobat, ran over to the corner of the building, and then manipulated obviously to drop down a snitch, which is brilliant. It's not going to get touched. It's a good old 3 points. Used his special action because he's really good friends with Batman. Batman then gets an additional action, and then Lee pointed out that I've done a manipulate right next to this question mark block.
Picks that up.
Which is like the shittest version of Mario block, really.
Which then forced Kevin to pick up this. Well, Kevin chose this suspect marker to pick up for me, and then I flipped my face down card, and Kevin revealed.
Which is, I can't even believe it got scored. An enemy model, Batman, has been the target of an attack from 3 different friendly models this round. So the flailing fists of Echo, the 1 damage from Irish, and being shot at.
Translates into 3 lovely points.
No, I mean, I get it. I understand why it's 3, because why the hell would you normally commit that many models? But so late in the game, it's a bonus. I love it. So returning to where I was, Batman hasn't activated yet. Obviously, he's got Audacity this turn, but that extra action from the Boy Wonder means I'm going to run around and put myself in contact, just so that I cannot be shot by Kel's pistol, because she doesn't have Audacity. And that is the Boy Wonder activated.
Back to Charlie C. Very simple activation. He just moved. And he has inspiration, so he popped down a number 4 suspect marker just there. That's me done, really. Also, I put down another card on my sideboard face down. What could it possibly be? Who knows? I may have forgotten myself. Right. Back to Kevin. I think it's his last activation of the game.
Okay, so the final activation of the game. Batman. Who's in base contact with Kel to try and stop her shooting. So the first thing we did was punch her in the face. And she's incredibly unconscious. Not dead, but like a coma style. I was going to use my Batarang to run away, and then realised that I've got move 12 plus 1 because of my suit, so move 13. So Batman has just run up to the corner. He could put 3 efforts in before he really got in trouble. So he's efforted twice in combination with his detective trait, so that I can put down 2 more suspect markers more than 4 inches apart. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And hoping, seeing as Lee's only got 1 model left to activate, that's going to get me some points.
Yeah, and the Riddler to go last. Unfortunately, I can't do anything with him due to circumstance. Kevin putting 2 suspect markers down in the last activation has stopped me. I could have potentially picked up one of his suspect markers here and then moved another one, but he'd still have 2 within, right next to the board edge. And I'm pretty sure he's got secure the perimeter in his hand to score in the recount phase. So that's that, and there's nothing I can do about the snitch up here. And sadly, I picked up a bad set of cards again, so I have nothing to score out of my own hand. So unfortunately, I'm just going to call the Riddler a duck for the last activation of the game, and that's it. That's the last bit of moving we're going to do. Just going to go to the recount phase now and finish things off.
Okay, so this is the board state at the end of the game. There's going to be very few surprises here. One of the things that I do like is the amount of complexity the Riddler crew has, not just for the person playing it, but for the person who's playing against it. It's a lot of in-your-head math that even if you structure your scoring deck, the potential for it to go right and or wrong, depending on your opponent's reactions, is quite considerable. And I think, it's potentially could be one of those lists that ends up being almost top tier, because even at a tournament setting, you can't second guess your opponent unless you can literally card count and know what's going on. So we're coming through to the end of the game. There's going to be no surprises here for anyone watching. Obviously the snitch that's up on the top next to the Boy Wonder, that scores for me. We're loving that. I've nearly scored the entire deck for the first time ever since I've played this game. The second one that Lee had obviously predicted, and it wouldn't take a genius to work out, was secure the perimeter. So obviously, I keep saying obviously, but covered my bases with the Batman by putting down 2 markers, and obviously Alfred had one there. Did have one set up over here at the very corner. Lee's, was this the face down card?
No, that was my card I played in the first phase.
Oh, that's right. Enemy models reveal fewer suspects than friendly models. This was ending up being a war of attrition. There was a point where the Riddler crew was going to run out of activations, and obviously when I'm interacting with my own and manipulating with my own scheme markers and things, or suspects when I put them down, these little riddle boxes, which are really good to score Lee's cards, actually do state that it counts that I have still revealed a suspect marker as an enemy. So that
means I don't score that card.
Means he doesn't score that card, and it's only 2. But at the moment, if we look at the decks, I've got 3 cards in my hand and 1 in my discard pile. Lee's got 4 in hand,
Something
1
like
face
that.
down. So yeah, it's going
I've
to.
got more cards in my deck, so I've got more named characters.
Ah, yeah. So
See how it goes.
I think this is going to be closer than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, we're here with the final count. Kevin's just about to lay out his score pile, his score deck, shall we say, for his Batman crew. We're gonna see what he's got. So off you go, Kev.
Come on, baby.
So that's a 2, 5, 7, 10, 13, 15, 18, 20, 22, 25, 27, 30, oh dear, 32, 34, 36, 38, 39.
Right.
39. That's a good score. That's a good score. I'm going to struggle to beat that one. Right, I'm just going to pass the camera to Kev, and then he can do the same for me.
Okay, this is it, ladies and gents. This is
39 to beat, that's all. Okay, here we go. So 2, 4, 7, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21, 24, 26,
Oh, fuck
28, 30, 33. 33
Whoa.
plus 39.
not bad.
Not bad for my first go with the deck. John's.
Yeah, and when you, to be fair, when you do look through those scoring cards, and sorry, the pictures can be quite rubbish. A lot of them are 2s, and they're a substantial amount of that playtime is spent trying to focus on getting the 3s. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. It's a tricky deck. In my hand, I was picking up the ones that you need to play in the first phase, in the third phase, if you put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't, and I misplayed an awful lot at the beginning as well. So yeah, just to try and get used to it. I think I do. Yeah, I echo what Kev said earlier. This crew really benefits from getting familiarity as to how to use it, and it's great. I really enjoy playing the Riddler. It sort of changes things up for your opponent as well as for you. It's almost like, because they're trying to work out what your face down card might be.
Yeah, man, you're effectively playing 2 games.
Yeah.
Right, you're scoring 2 decks, regardless of whether you're the Riddler, regardless of whether you're playing, Batman, Joker, or whatever, because you're still trying to work out what your opponent's got when they're playing Riddler.
Yeah, and I can absolutely see why you can take a free agent to kill things as the Riddler as well, because your crew really does lack that kind of threat. It's sort of, and you can still play the face down cards in the free agent's turn whilst he is killing people. So you're setting up scores for future activations anyway. So yeah, I can absolutely see why people say things they do about the Riddler crew and how different they are and how much fun they can be. But yes, definitely not one to be recorded solo. Even if I could somehow fake the not knowing the face down card, there's a lot more to think about. And it's hard enough for me with 1 crew, let alone 2. Right, okay, and we're back. Just to say goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much for watching the game. It's been really good fun, this one. It's really nice. The game changes so much when you're not playing solo. It's not designed as a solo game, but I sort of squeak through. Thank you very much, Kevin, for coming round and playing. And Riddler was great fun. Batman's always good to be familiar, and this guy is pretty much an MVP. He was regularly laying out and doing things which either crippled my ability to score or helped him score his own team score himself. He was really good this one.
potentially the best Batman.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, and this was only his first outing. Imagine when you get used to him and using him in tandem with that Robin version as well. So there we go. A win to the Batman crew, but yeah, lots of lessons learned for the Riddler too. Okay, I'm Shieldwall100. Thank you for watching this game, and please join me for more game reports on my channel, and maybe follow me on Facebook in the link below as well. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for coming, and ta-da!